Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mismatch Readers Club. My name is Eliza, and I am here with, not sitting next to, Hannah. We are remote recording this episode because I have a plague of some sort. So Hannah thought it best that they not come here and potentially catch whatever it is I have. So you'll have to excuse my voice for this episode and probably the next one because we're recording
we're
2
batch
episodes today.
recording. That's
Yeah,
okay. I'm here with
but
my emotional support wheat bag and I'm all good. So
I don't have
that's
a wee
fine.
bag. I just have an almost empty box of tissues. So that's fun. All right. So we're going to start the episode by recapping our monthly challenge.
Ooh.
So we spun the wheel a couple of episodes ago for our first challenge for March. And we spun, was it genre switch? I'd have to,
Yes.
whatever it
It
was,
was
we had to pick a book from a genre that we didn't traditionally read and read it. So I picked Carla by Colin Walsh, which is a literary fiction. And
I
Hannah, you
picked
picked,
Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher.
yeah, which is I think it technically they class it as a cozy fantasy.
Yeah, I think that perfectly really sums it up. But I think we have genre switch on that wheel twice because we've got genre switch where we pick the book from the other genre,
Yeah, we've got
and then we've got
books.
it
I
where
think
we
it's,
pick it for each other.
yeah, book swap, which is where we pick for each other, and then genre switch where we pick our own. So we got genre switch there. Do you want to talk about, I was about to say just T. Kingfisher, about Paladin's Grace first, or do you want me to talk about
It
Carla?
was. I can talk about
All right, go for your life.
Paladin's Grace. I read it in almost one sitting because I woke up at 1 a.m. and I couldn't get back to sleep. And then I read the whole thing. It was so good. I really, really liked it. I thought it would be, I was kind of like irritated at the beginning because I was like, how many more times is she going to talk about this guy fucking smelling like gingerbread? Like it was just, and it was just like, okay, I get it. He smells like gingerbread. It's fine. But it makes sense, like for context, like the main female character is a perfumer, like scents and everything like that is like a big thing. But it was cool. It was like so easy to get used to the like world because I play D&D and I play paladins in D&D. So that was like good. It was also like an interesting concept in that like the male main character, Stephen, is the paladin of a god that died. Or like his god died where he was a paladin. So it was like talking about that, which was really cool. And like the main mystery was really cool in it. And I thought it was like the mystery was really creepy. It was like, I won't give away. Well, actually, I can give away spoilers. The book got
We
published in
can.
like
I
2020.
feel like I'm just gonna say overarching. There's gonna be plot spoilers in
But yeah,
these recaps. So
yeah,
because
I
I
love
struggle
yapping.
to talk about a book without giving away
Oh
spoilers.
yeah, I'm not. If we're talking about books, I'm spoiling them. But like the main mystery was like there was or one of the main mysteries was like people around the town that they were in were getting beheaded. And then it ended up being like they haven't actually, because it's going to be a series. There's 4 books out. There's going to be 7, and it was like this like kind of like rotting body thing, and it was like it was like a clay head essentially, and then when the body had decayed, it would whatever magic. I'm assuming it's some kind of like demon thing. Would then go kill another person, chop their head off, and put the clay head, take it out of the decomposing body, and put it in the other body, and then that body would
So
like animate.
like the dead body with the clay head would like reanimate, kill the next person, and then like swap the
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. Yeah, it
That's
was gross, especially when they were talking like in depth about the smell of it.
ugh.
And I was like, ugh, yeah, I don't really like it. But it was really good. It was a really enjoyable read to the point where like I immediately bought the second book. So
Love that.
I will provide, it was a successful genre swap, I think.
And they're quite short too, aren't they?
It was,
I think it's somewhere in the
I don't
300
have my
page, three or
bloody
four,
Kobo
three
with me
400
where,
page.
yeah, I think it was like maybe 350.
Yeah. See, to go back to like this, the female main character talking about like sense thing, that is a very common, I guess you could say like micro trope within fantasy, especially fantasy romance, is the female main character constantly referring to how the male main character smells.
Yeah.
And
It's through
like a
so
lot
much
of the
because I
time with
remember it from
fantasy,
Twilight.
excuse me, a lot of the time with fantasy as well, it's always like this, like they smell like freshly fallen snow or like pine trees or mint or citrus. And I'm like, what dude on a planet Earth smells like that? None.
I remember a book I read when I was a teenager where the main character was describing her boyfriend as smelling like laundry detergent, freshly cracked black pepper, and lemon. And I was like, I don't know if that's a good combo, babe. Like, lemon pepper? Is that what you're
Why is
talking
it
about?
trying
Are
to
you
smell
having
like
chicken tenders for dinner? Like, what are
lemon
we
pepper chicken,
doing?
man?
Anyway, and laundry detergent,
Smelling
don't
like a
forget that.
Chinese shop with freshly washed tablecloths.
I just don't understand. It was very odd. But anyway, it made sense in that, like, Grace, the character, was a perfumer, which was really interesting.
Mm.
But yeah, it was a really, really good book. And they're going to, because there's like 7 paladins of this dead god. So there's 4 books out currently which follows a different paladin in the group. So I'm going to keep reading and
Nice.
I'll
So like
keep you guys.
interconnected standalones, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, which is cool. So
Love
I
that.
will keep you guys updated on my little jaunt into, what did she say it was? Cozy fantasy?
Cozy fantasy.
Into cozy fantasy. Yeah, it was good.
Star,
And
have
now
you
I've
got a
got
star rating?
machinations. Oh, probably 4 out of 5, I reckon. I've got machinations for my D&D character off of it because I've got 2 campaigns where I'm currently playing paladins.
Love that.
So,
Love that. See, now you're going to have a new paladin where their god has died.
well, technically in one of the
Could you have the DM write in that your god dies into the campaign?
well, actually one of the paladins I'm playing, like, she doesn't know who her god is. So like she knows that she's a tiefling. So and her name's Lilith because I'm not particularly imaginative. Don't roll your eyes at me. And I was going to play her as a barbarian. So I'm 3 levels barbarian, 1 level paladin. And she has there was this whole thing where she had like a vision essentially of like her father in hell. So like her paladin whole thing will be like essentially like pledging herself to like that part of her lineage.
Okay.
She doesn't
Interesting.
really have because like a paladin doesn't have to swear to a god. A paladin just has to take an oath. So like
Yes, that's true.
the other paladin I'm playing is a oath of vengeance. She doesn't really have a god.
Nice.
So yeah. Anyway, you read Carla. We've had
I did.
many incomprehensible text messages back and forth about this, which I'm
Yeah, look.
simply
So
delighted by.
Carla is a literary fiction, but it definitely has a very strong thriller undertone, like crime. I would say crime in a very loose sense of the word. Like a crime happens, but it's not like any of our characters are like police officers, like any of our like core group characters at least. Like no one's a police officer. One of our main characters, Helen, is an investigative journalist, but it's not the typical format of like a crime thriller where it's usually like some detective or FBI agent or whatever that's come in to solve a crime or, has been stationed at whatever backwoods town where things have happened. Like it's very much like a character story at first.
Yeah,
And
it really is.
I've said this to you outside of the podcast. Like I struggled for the first probably 30% of the book because there is a lot of time jumps within it. You go back and forth between events that happened in 2003 and then events that are happening in the current day and it's set in 2018. So I did struggle a little bit with that in a way. And because it's a lot of setup of, these are the events that have happened that have sort of led them into who they are at the moment. It felt like the plot was kind of going nowhere for me. And
Yeah, it
I'm
was a bit
very much a
directionless.
plot person. But when the plot kicked in, the plot like went from 0 to 100. And I guess to give I try and give a loose outline of the story. So back in 2003, we have this circle of friends and one of them, Carla, goes missing. And 15 years later, a few of these characters all reconverge back on their hometown for no real apparent reason. We know 2 of them, well, Mush, one of them has never left. Helen has come back because of her dad's wedding. And then Joe, for whatever reason, our third character in there, I don't really know why he's back. Like he's not back for the wedding. But
I
he's
think
back he's doing some shows at like the local pub or something and it just happens to be at the same time.
And he's a wanker. My least favorite
really
character in the whole. Like, the ending makes me understand why he is the way he is, but I hated his chapters.
He's very self-serving. Like everything is seen through the lens of himself as the hero. And he really doesn't like not being the hero.
I think that is really.
I also want to know what the fuck happened with Aiden. Like we
Yeah.
know, so like, again, this is going to be a spoiler. We know Aiden killed himself. We know he committed suicide. But you never really get any info as to why. Like,
Wasn't it
I can only assume it was to do with maybe everything that happened with Carla and then the events. Did he know what happened?
Yeah, maybe.
Did he find out and then it all became too much? Or because like all we know is that he committed suicide. Like that's it.
Yeah. It was a
I don't even
little
remember if they say when it happened.
uh,
It was in
no,
his
I don't
20s. I think they said something about maybe 10 years ago. Like
maybe. I haven't
very
like
loosely. They don't give much of a timeline around that.
I read Carla twice
Yeah.
when it first came out. So I haven't read it for a couple of years. Although I am now looking at theories online, and the theories do not confirm things that I'm happy about.
The theories are a bit all over the place. One of the
Yeah, like
theories like tried to throw like a paranormal aspect to it, and I'm like, no,
no, I don't
don't
think there was a
bring that
paranormal.
in.
No,
Like,
I think that happens like I've seen it happen a little bit with particularly American readers of Irish fiction, especially if it's like kind of like this, where it's a bit ambiguous and they try and put like a weird Celtic mythology type of thing on top of it almost, where they're like, oh, maybe it was like a paranormal thing. And it was like just,
but there
it's,
is, I mean,
it's such a bad
towards the
faith take, I
end,
think.
and this is like kind of a spoiler, kind of not, like it's not going to give away any of the plot, but like in one of the later scenes when Mush is in the barn, he swears he sees Carla because of events that happened in the past in the same barn. Like, so I think people speculate because he's had that sort of hallucination, because that's what it is. Like, it's not
Mm.
see her. He didn't see her ghost
No, he had a
at
hallucination.
the end with the hello you thing, that it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, that
I
was the
think the most
theory.
plausible theory is that it's Marie, one of the twins, coming to tell them, because there's a scene like in a flashback with Helen, maybe with Helen? Oh,
Yeah,
no, sorry, not Marie, it's Teresa, Helen's younger sister. Because there's a scene earlier, in a flashback when I think Carla and Aoife both show up to meet Helen, and Teresa's sitting on the stairs, and Carla says,
yeah,
"Hello, you," to Teresa.
yeah.
I think that's one of the plausible theories, or that it's Marie coming to tell them that Mush and this is a spoiler, that Mush has either woken up or died.
Yeah, I think my want is that the character that they're seeing is Mush. I don't think that I would love that because I don't want Mush to have died, but I think it's much more likely that Mush has died and it's probably Teresa
Well, yeah,
because there
because
was
there's also like, at the start of that, oh, no, but it's not Teresa, because
no wait,
Teresa and Helen are at the top of the hill together. They've gone out to get air.
yeah, because
So it
Teresa
can't be Teresa
texted
rocking up. A lot of people
no.
think that it's Joe, which is honestly probably the most likely. I think, yeah, it'd be Marie or Joe. Like, it's not going to be Mush, because even if he had woken up, there's no way the hospital are letting him fucking walk out. The man's been in a coma for over a week,
I definitely
several weeks. I think it's been
yeah.
3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks later at the end. We're really diving into some spoilers here. But I will say the twist definitely got me. I did not see that coming in
Neither
particular.
did I. Neither did I.
I feel like something should have triggered, especially when you get the backstory about Carla's grandfather, Mick. Not necessarily about what happened around Carla, but what he was doing with the Lions crew.
Mm.
Like, I feel like I think that's supposed to be put in there as like a little bit of a red flag, like a flag of there's always a cop that's helping.
Yeah.
But I never would have expected it to be who it actually ended up being, especially when, he's with Helen, like when they're at that cafe after she sees Aoife, and he says, like, you need to look into the police investigation because, like, it was not handled properly. Like, he's
Yeah.
giving her the hints to figure out that it's him.
Yeah, he is, but it's like I almost wonder if he maybe like he was the one who was it oh actually I haven't read it for a while. Was he the one who botched the original investigation?
No, he wasn't allowed to be on the original investigation
That's right. Yeah,
because
yeah,
of
yeah.
his
Because Carla and
his
Joe.
conflict with Joe.
Yeah.
Because Joe was obviously a suspect for a period of time, being that he and Carla were romantically involved. But either way, we've talked very in depth about the book there,
We really
like
did get
very
into the
random things.
minutia there.
I gave it 4.5. I would almost give it a
Hmm.
5 star, but I think it was just the real character story at the start kind of threw me. I found it a little bit harder to get into at first because I don't read literary fiction. So when there's a whole lot of talk and not much happening, I do struggle somewhat.
Yes.
But I still very much enjoyed it. Like I think it's like, 400 pages on my e-reader. Like the last 250 pages when things really started happening, then I was like, all right, I'm sat. I'm locked in.
Yeah, I know, because I was getting the live text from you
Yeah.
while that was happening, and I was
I
just like,
was
all
getting
right,
live updates, just being like, I hate Joe.
he
Joe's a
sucks.
cunt.
He
I
sucks.
think
And
Joe
like,
killed her.
I think like his whole like, his like self worship, where he's like absolutely obsessed with himself as the idea of a rock star and perfect man and all of that, definitely comes from his relationship with his dad.
Absolutely. Because, you see it throughout the book, his dad being like, what is it, Brennan? Is that the last name? Is that his last name?
Yeah,
I
I
think so.
think so.
You're Joe Brennan. It's always like you're Joe Brennan. Like it's
Yeah,
never
you're the
you are
golden
this
child type of thing.
entity. You are better than this. You are better than that. You are more than this.
Mm.
So yeah, I definitely think that's inflated self-importance was definitely instilled by his dad, you know, needing to be, and then that sort of triggered in this like hero complex that he had and this ultra possessiveness and like very, very unhealthy
But also,
relationship.
like, if I wanted to read about a white guy who played guitar and who had like addiction problems, I could just go read my journals from whenever I dated any of my ex-partners. Like, it's not groundbreaking. It's not groundbreaking for me. All
All
right.
right, let's
Should we?
actually dive into the episode.
Yes, our episode theme this week is, hang on, I've got too many tabs open and I can't find the one for this week. Bookish hot takes. Where did you get these from?
So I did do a little bit of a Google search. I pulled some stuff from a couple of blog posts. I pulled some stuff from Reddit. It's just a bit of a amalgamation of bits and pieces
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of like hot takes is a very loose term, I think.
Yeah, I love when people go, I've got a really hot take, and it's like, I don't like white bread. Okay, thanks.
It's like the coldest take possible.
Mm-hmm.
Glacial. But so we have a list. We thought we would just go through some of these ones that I found and give our thoughts on them. And then after that, we can talk about our own hot takes, of which I probably won't. I don't think I have that many. I'm a pretty easy to please reader, whereas Hannah here has many.
I don't think I've got that many. I think I'm just like, I am a picky reader. So I think
Yeah.
that's probably, I think it's probably maybe less hot takes and more personal preference. But I did, also the hot takes is good because we can expand, I think, on some of our like question answers from the previous episodes.
Yeah.
But also when I said to Justin that we were going to do hot takes and he was just like, oh, you're going to get cancelled. And I was like, I'm not. But he's like, no, the TikTok fantasy girls are going to be mad at you.
I am a TikTok fantasy girl and I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's fair. But I've seen them, some of the Sarah J. Mouse fans can really get like,
Some of
we
them
can
can
get into it
be.
later. We can get into it later.
Some of them can be a bit much. But I
We can
think
get into it later.
it's funny now that there is actually a section on I do actually have a note on here to like direct quote. There was a line about book talk bitches. So we'll talk about that a little more. Yeah, that's a
I
thing.
don't like that term. Okay.
It's a thing and it's fucked. But anyway,
Okay.
so we've got a
Should-
few different like subtitles here with a couple of different hot takes. So the first one is on length and pacing of books in general. The first one is set out as someone calling books door stoppers. So long epic fantasy books like Wheel of Time often confuse quantity with quality and many could be shorter.
Uh,
Where do you stand?
Well, I don't like this. I haven't read a lot of really big, huge fantasy series, or not, at least not the current popular ones. I'm
Yeah.
reading Wheel of Time at the moment very slowly. Sorry to my coworker who I said I would read the series fast. I just haven't done it. And I like it. I think it's paced really well. But the thing that I've been told is that there is a noticeable slump in the middle. I tried to read the Brandon Sanderson, not Mistborn, maybe the other series. I can't remember.
Stormlight Archive.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, starts with The Way of Kings.
Yeah, couldn't get through it. Absolutely not. But in saying that, I've read Game of Thrones, like every book that's out with Game of Thrones. I mean, I read it over 10 years ago. I think I was a teen, like in my late teens when I read it. And I definitely think, I don't think I had a problem with the pacing then. I think I liked it quite a lot. I don't know, but I do think there are like I prefer a short book. So because I prefer a short book, like I'm going to be less likely to pick up a big fantasy series. What about you? And
I'm
you read
kind of thinking,
Alchemized.
yeah, that book's hard because I don't in a way, I don't think that there's a way that they could have made that book much shorter, and there's also not
Mm,
really a way that they could have split it into 2 books. Like, that book
okay.
kind of had to be as long as it was. Like, they could have cut out some things, but it's all very minor, and it really wouldn't have shortened the book that much, I don't think. Like, it's a behemoth of a book. It's over 1,000 pages, but the problem is you start off in, like, present day, and then you go back in time. I think it's about 5 years or a few years or however. No, it's not even that long. You go back in time, and then you have basically all the events that happen in the lead up to where we start the book, essentially. But the jumping point back is only about 25% of the way through the book. So it's not like you could stop the book there. And then there's no point in which, like during the flashback, in which you could have, say, cut the book and then started with like, and split it into a duology. Because then
Yeah,
you jump
yeah.
back into the present day, probably at about 80% of the way, like 80, 90, possibly even 90%. So there's really no
Oh.
point in which there's like enough of a lull in what's happening to split it into 2 books. Nor is there really, like, you could take some stuff out, but I feel like you would kind of lose the impact from it.
Mhm.
Talking a lot about Alchemist. That's crazy.
It's a big
But
book.
yeah, it is a big book. I do think it's done really well. I rated it 4.5 stars. Will I ever read it again? Maybe. It's a
Actually, I can
big undertaking.
it does look like a big undertaking. I'm glad you read it because I won't. But, I can think of a book series where I definitely think it could have been I think the books could be much slimmer and not lose
Yeah.
that, and that's the oh my god, I've forgotten the name of the book series. It's the, Rebecca Yarros ones, the dragon ones that are coming out at the
Oh,
moment.
the Empyrean series,
Empyrean series. Yeah, yeah,
Fourth
yeah.
Wing, etc.
Fourth Wing, that's it. I read Fourth Wing. I liked it. I thought there was parts they could chop out of it and you wouldn't lose anything of the story,
Yeah,
and I didn't get through the second book.
Iron Flame.
I think you've read all of them, haven't you?
I've read all of them, and I
Yeah.
do agree. Iron Flame in particular, I think could have been much shorter because about 50% of the book is Xaden and Violet having the same fucking argument over and
Mhm.
over and over again. I don't like the miscommunication trope much, and that book was
No.
one big miscommunication trope. Like, it's
Yeah.
still good, like, the plot itself is good, but the relationship between Xaden and Violet is just going in circles, and
Yeah.
it just drove me nuts.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
like,
just repetitive.
yeah, like, he has secrets, you don't like it, whatever, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Um, so I do agree with the take. Like, I do think that there are some books that confuse, like, words for the sake of quality, like,
Mm.
but I also don't want a book like I've some issue like, fuck me. Some books I feel like you do need to have as much world building, like the problem you have with the Stormlight Archive. A lot of people don't start with the Stormlight Archive. They start with
Mm.
Mistborn because then once you get to the Stormlight Archive, you already have an understanding of the world, the magic systems, some of the characters. So that I think then makes Stormlight much easier to digest.
Yeah. I think
So
it's a fine balance though, because like I really think that also like authors should trust their readers. Like you don't need to over explain every part of a magic system
no,
or every part of a world building. Like you can do the world building as you go. I think Wheel of Time so far is doing that really well. There's not really huge long like explanatory paragraphs or anything like that,
no.
but you've got a good sense of the world by like the halfway through the first book. Or like I think that I've got a good sense of the world so far. So it's like a really fine balance there, I think. And also I nothing I hate more in than this will be my one of my first hot takes is I fucking hate when you're reading a series and they re-explain the magic system in every single book
Yeah.
or the world in every single book. Girl, we know. You don't need to do it again.
If there's a new aspect being presented, then absolutely, like,
Sure.
explain it and explain how it relates into what you've already been told. But
Mm.
I don't need to hear the history of fucking
No,
whatever all over again.
no, we don't know. Just like, use an editor. We can be brief. It's fine.
So I mean, I do agree. I wouldn't necessarily say many could be shorter, but I do think some could be somewhat shorter.
Yeah. Also, I love that I'm sitting here being like, more stuff needs to be shorter when it's like my main problem at the moment at work is I keep waffling on in documents and I need to get them edited down.
And we waffle too much in this.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to
All
read the
right.
next one?
Yeah, first 100 pages matter more. Many books don't justify their length, and readers should feel comfortable DNFing if the first 100 pages aren't engaging. Babe, I love to DNF. I'm out of
I
there. See you
struggle.
later.
I struggle to
See
DNF, but I
you later.
do actually agree with this take. I do think that there at least needs to be some kind of hook within the first 100 pages.
Yeah, I agree with it, but I also am a big fan
Like,
of
if
like
there aren't
just
fucking
DNFing.
questions that need to be answered within 100 pages, nah.
Yeah,
In saying that, I will still probably read the book, but, like, I do agree with that.
you're a masochist.
I really am. I just can't do it.
I will, yeah, if I don't like a book, I will. I used to not. I used to be like, no, I have to finish this. But if I'm reading it and I'm like, this sucks and it feels punishing to read, I'm not going to keep reading it because I realized that was one of the things I was getting like stuck in reading slumps because of it, because I was reading books I wasn't enjoying and still feeling like I had to like commit to doing it. And as soon as I was just like, oh, I'm just not doing this anymore, I started like reading much more. So yeah, I don't know, DNF the book.
I've put a couple of books down where it's like, it's not that I'm not necessarily enjoying the story or I'm not, um, interested in what happens, but the 2 books that I DNF'd last year, a whole 2, were
I've
very much,
DNF'd
like,
2 books this
soft.
year already.
One of them was the last book in a series, and I had just come off reading something really fast-paced, and this one was much slower. So I put that down with a TBD whether I end up picking it back up. And then the other one was it just wasn't what I wanted to read at the time. Like, it was really interesting. Like, it's basically like Sherlock Holmes, but with ghosts and a little more modern day. Like, it's a really interesting concept, but I was reading it and I'm just like, I just don't feel like having this like slightly more modern day concept. Like, the concept of it is it's a guy that works for the London Metro Police and they find a body and he has a witness, but the witness is a ghost.
Actually, that's kind of cool.
Like, really cool concept, right?
Yeah.
But I was reading it and I got like, I think 50 pages in and I'm just like, I'm not vibing right now with this. I wanted to read something maybe a little more epic at the time. So I put it down.
Sometimes it's right book, wrong time.
Yeah. And like, that's a pretty big series too. I think there's like 7 or 8 books at the moment. Like, it's kind of a, uh, I think it's in the same kind of vein as like your sort of crime novels where they're like separate stories, but they're all interconnected. Like, it's the same lead character.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like episodic.
Yeah. Do you know what I just realized? It will be fun to go back at the end of this year and see if we have changed as readers.
Yeah, it
Because
will
like
be.
I'm enjoying reading some like romantic fantasy, like cozy fantasy stuff at the moment. And maybe that's just because I want like lighter, easier to read stuff at the moment. But yeah, it'd be interesting. We can revisit. All right. Next one.
So we're moving into like popular genres and tropes and stuff. So romance tropes are stale. Enemies to lovers or forced proximity tropes are overused and predictable in romance novels.
I think we definitely covered this when we talked about like book trends and stuff like that. I do think I can see both sides where it's like romance novels have always been around. I think they've got better marketing now. Like they are like everywhere. I think the selling of books with tropes, like if you're going to pick a book up and it's like, you'll love this book if you like enemies to lovers or you like this, like, no. Can we go back to writing good book blurbs, please? Also,
I
enemies to
will
lovers is good if you do
I
it
will
right.
agree. The enemies to lovers, the forced proximity, it is overused. It is predictable. I will eat that shit up every single time. One bedded and in, I'm done. I'm signed up. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's
Yeah.
overused, but I don't care. Oh, give it to me.
If you like the trope, you like the trope type of thing. Like, it's the same as what you just said. Like, you don't like the miscommunication trope. I hate miscommunication tropes. It makes
Like,
me
I can understand
stressed out.
an initial miscommunication, but using Iron Flame as an example, when it's the same argument over and over and over, I'm like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, it's not like a vehicle to move the plot
A
along or anything.
conversation.
Please learn how to talk to each other. Get a podcast and talk at each other for 4 hours.
But, like, accept that there are some things as well. Like, you want open and honest communication, and he's saying, "I can't give you everything," then you need to decide if whether it's enough or
Yeah.
not.
Do they end? I don't care. We can talk
They
about
are
this
still
off.
yes, they are still together. They're going to be endgame. Like, there's no way that they're not. I think Rebecca Yarros has come out and said that they are. All right, next up.
Fantasy and sci-fi aren't always real literature. Some argue popular fantasy or sci-fi prioritizes world building over deep character or plot development. I don't read enough fantasy. Fantasy, I actually do read a bit of. I think it still counts. I haven't read a
That's
lot of
fucking real
sci-fi.
literature. Like, people are like, "Oh, it prioritizes world building." It has to prioritize world
It
building.
does.
You are not
It
in
does.
a fantasy or a sci-fi world, more often than not, you are not in the real world. These people will complain if there is no world building, be like, "I don't understand where we are. What is happening?" Like, yeah, I do think in some cases they overdo the world building, like they over explain everything. And sometimes the world building can take priority over character development. And I do think that's annoying. But I don't like the argument that fantasy and sci-fi aren't always real literature. Sorry, real literature, if it is published, it's real literature. End of story.
Yeah.
Whether it's traditionally published or indie published or self-published or whatever, it is real literature. Just because you don't fucking like it.
But yeah, like I don't get like I can be a bit I'll just say it, like I am very pretentious when it comes to like, I'll look at it and go, it's not a real story
You
or
admitted
whatever.
it.
And
I
I
called you
will admit it.
pretentious in the first video and you were like, "I'm not pretentious."
Well, I am a bit pretentious. I have an English degree. I can be a bit pretentious. But like I can look down my nose at it and be like, oh, I'm not going to read it, or I think it's a bit trash. It's still, like not fantasy authors, like big romance authors. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. They're
Patricia
publishing books and
Cornwell.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Patricia Cornwell's not a romance writer.
Well, she's a prolific author.
Right.
That's the first one I thought of.
Agatha Christie. But, they're doing it and I'm not. So it's still a book. Someone's reading it.
So the third one in tropes and genres is talking about spice level in books. Some spicy fantasy romance books are more about explicit content than meaningful storytelling. Yeah, you know what they are. There are books that are more spice than plot.
Yep. And that's fine.
Have you ever read a Mills and Boon? More often than not, they are, well, not you, but like just in general. Most of those are more spice than plot. There's never much going on in those books. Not that I've read one, but
I
from
think
what I
it's
know.
fine. I think it's fine, to be honest.
Different strokes for
I
different folks, mate. Like everyone likes different things. Some people just want to read fucking basically written down porn, and that's fine.
Yeah, and that's fine. People have been doing that for years. Can I say my problem with this, which is so stupid? I hate the term spice. I hate the term spicy. I also, as someone who is neurodivergent, I fucking hate the term neurospicy. I hate it so much. So I hate spicy used with things like that, and I hate spicy used when it's talking about sex. Let's just talk about sex. Let's just say smart, whatever. Like we don't have to. Spice irritates me, and that's just a pet hate of mine.
Yeah. I can understand that. Like I think it's like an overused term in things. Um I think with explicit stuff in particularly in fantasy or in just in general, like any sort of romance novel, when they're in some kind of like tense or urgent situation and they feel the need to get their kid off. Like, no.
This did happen in Paladin's Grace, and it was really good. It was a well written sex scene, I thought.
Don't get me wrong, like the
But
spy scenes can often be like really well written, but there was something I read recently where they were like hiding in a closet from people that are searching this fucking castle and he goes down on it. I'm like, bro, not the time.
not the time. Not the time. It's not the time or the place. God. Classics are wait, hang on. Classics are boring and overhyped. The Great Gatsby, Pride and Prejudice aren't universally groundbreaking and can be tedious to read. Yeah, they can be tedious to read. I don't think that they're overhyped. I think going back and reading classics was beneficial to me as a reader. It might have been more in the context of like what I was doing at uni, but it was useful. And I also think like reading a book that is a little bit tedious isn't like the end of the world.
No.
I do think that also when they say they aren't universally groundbreaking, I think that like you have to put that in context. Like they were groundbreaking at the time. At the time. So yeah, I think like classics, and there's so many good classics. Like read Frankenstein for God's sakes.
I agree with they can be tedious to read. I don't necessarily think the classics are overhyped, but I think the self-importance of people that do read classics
Or like
is too
exclusive
much.
classics
Like
readers.
I won't read anything written past 1970. Cool. You are missing out on some incredible literature.
Yeah, 100%. I think like I think maybe more to the point is like you're not better than other people just because you read classics. I think it's good. I think it's important for people to read classics and understand like context of when the books were published and stuff like that. But again, it's just it's part of your reading kind of journey. It doesn't have to be, it's not the be all and end all type of thing. Like you're not any better of a reader just because you read it, like, I don't know, The Great Gatsby, which by the way, I read and didn't like. And also there's plenty of classics I haven't read. I haven't read any Jane Austen. I watched Pride and Prejudice for the first time genuinely not that long ago, like the 2005 one with Keira Knightley in it, which is Evie's favorite movie of all time. And I messaged her finally and I'm like, oh, hey, I'm finally watching this. And she was like, cool, thanks for making me wait 20 years for you to do this.
Love that. My problem with classics is people that then go in and read them. And this is kind of a very specific subset of people that want the pretentiousness of reading the classics, but then read them and go, oh, but they're so outdated. They have like, it's racist, it's sexist, it's this, it's that. And I'm like, yeah, cool. It was written 50 years ago when that was normal. Like you're not looking at the context of when it was written.
That's where you've got to contextualize it. Like I've read those like classics books and I go, yeah, this is really racist. This is really sexist. This was written 1905, which is not condoning it or normalizing it, but it is important to you can't hold those books, I think, necessarily to like modern day standards. And it's like you can want them to be better and understand that they need to be better, but ultimately you are reading a book that's over 100 years old where this was still massively inappropriate but completely normal.
So like that bothers me. Like I can understand and we can we do need to recognize, like you said, the inappropriateness of those themes. But when they just go, they hold it to the standard of what's acceptable nowadays. And it's like, well, you can't because the standards are up here nowadays and the standards were in the fucking basement back then. Like
It's different. Yeah, I think the main
and
thing there is just like,
if you don't like the themes, then you don't like the book and that's it. You move on.
yeah, yeah. I don't think we've got any really groundbreaking takes at the moment, to be
No, we
honest.
really don't.
But I've just read the next one.
And it's definitely a bit of a hot take from my end. Literary fiction can be pretentious. Some literary novels prioritize style or obscure themes over accessible storytelling. I wholeheartedly agree with this. I'm not saying all, I am saying there are some novels that focus too much on, this like obscure prose, you know, real like literary bloody whatever over an actual fucking story. And I get that literary fiction, a lot of it is like it's a book about nothing, a book where nothing happens. But yeah, like I think the people that write those like really obscure, just like nothing books, like if there's genuinely nothing to it, if it's not like if it's a character sort of retelling or a character whatchamacallit profile sort of thing, yeah, fair enough. But there are some books you have to admit that is just you finish it, you go, what did I read? What happened?
Did you notice me chugging water from my fucking massive water bottle then? So, because I've got a lot to say here. So, I agree a little bit, but I think literary fiction covers such a range of styles and stuff like that. I also think that maybe now, or maybe it's just like my preferred version of like what literary fiction is. I think a lot of people are saying this book is lit fic because they don't understand it or because it's difficult for them to read. And like when I started reading literary fiction, I thought it was a bit challenging because it was very different to what I was reading at the time. And now I love it. I think it's great. I love a book that's all vibes based, essentially. I think it's probably, again, it's like a lot of, I think it's very similar to like people who only read classics. I think it is probably more to do with the people rather than the books. There's like a particular subset of, which I can sometimes get involved with, of like people who are just like really pretentious who only read lit fic and they think it's the be all and end all. And it's like, it's not. It covers a wide, range of styles and types of things. But I also think the other thing is like it is a genre that you can experiment with. So like if you go pick up 3 lit fic books and expect them all to be very, very similar, it's just not going to be that way because it's gonna be lots of different styles and stuff like that. But I think also I think we like talked about it in a previous episode where it's like it's the big rise in lit fic in the past kind of 10-ish years, which I think attracts a lot of like people saying that it is pretentious, and people can be fucking insufferable about it, to be honest. But like mainly people who sit and go like, and I love Sally Rooney. Like I think Sally Rooney is a brilliant author. Like just, and I love her books so much. But also when people are just like trying to paint themselves as like an obscure reader and go, oh yeah, Sally Rooney's my favorite author. Okay, babe, she's one of the biggest authors in the world. Like all of her books are bestsellers. I think also that kind of comes into it is like people thinking it gives them some kind of like cool aloofness because they're a lit fic reader. It's like, no, it's a very, 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 very popular genre.
It's the more gentrified version of hipsters listening to vintage rock
It really is.
and being like, oh, you wouldn't have heard of them.
No, you wouldn't have heard of them. You wouldn't have heard of this, blah, blah. I also
You
think,
wouldn't have heard of. I'm sure you haven't heard of Radiohead. No, I agree. I feel like as well, and this, I feel like literary fiction has kind of replaced what was just considered general fiction. Like
yeah,
it started, like literary fiction, I think started out as the much more obscure and has since expanded into kind of just everything. Like, like if it doesn't have a specific genre, like if it's not specifically a fantasy, if it's not specifically a romance, if it's not specifically horror or thriller or whatever, it just kind of gets sort of
it can be like
snowballed
a bit of
into
a
literary
catch-all.
fiction.
Yeah.
So at least that's like sort of how I view it. But I don't necessarily think like literary fiction in of itself is pretentious, but I do think that there are some novels and some authors that prioritize this obscure theme over an actual story or an actual like anything.
I also think with a lot of literary fiction, and we'll talk about it a bit more in depth in another episode where I'm going to talk about the Booker Prize. A lot of those big ones are translated, and I think there are a certain subset of people who view literary fiction as pretentious. And I think that there is like a racist component to it where it's translated fiction and people are kind of like, oh, it's like, it's really pretentious and obscure and everything like that. And it's like, no, it's just a book that was written in a different language and you're being weirdly racist about the author. So I think that can kind of come into it. But yeah, I don't think that was like a kind of half-formed thought, but I think that has kind of does come into it a little bit.
Like I feel like, I mean, I'm going to plead ignorance here a little bit, but like I feel like if I knew a book was translated from another language, I would be more forgiving of like any sort of, I guess, disjointedness in the story because it's translated. Like not everything translates from, Korean or Japanese or French or whatever into English well. Like, and so I can understand like in that regard, but there's definitely some Western authors that write things just thinking that they're the smartest person in the room.
Mm, there are. In saying that, there is a translated book that I need you to read, and it's the book I'm going to give you when we do book swap. But it's short, and you're gonna like it. No, I genuinely I think you will. Like it's The Wax Child. I talked about it as my like book of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
said you're gonna give me that.
I think you would really like it. It's translated. It's also nominated for the Booker. It's translated from the Danish.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm into it. All right, reading habits.
Rereading is unnecessary. Once a book's story is known, rereading offers diminishing returns compared to discovering new books. Don't agree. Sorry.
Absolutely do not agree.
No, I am not as much of a rereader as I was. I used to reread my favorite books a lot. I have definitely gone back and reread books over the past couple of years that I really like. I also like the book They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us. I have like read the ebook of, I have the physical book of, which I've read and highlighted to absolute fuck. And then I've listened to the audiobook. And sometimes I'll be like, because it's essay collections, it's sometimes I'll be like, want to go back and revisit the ideas in that essay. So I'm more likely to reread like an essay collection than I am to reread like a full novel. In saying that, I've read The Wax Child twice, and I also read Thirst for Salt by Madeline Lucas. I think I maybe read that in 2023. I reread that about 3 times.
Yeah. I love a good reread. I like kind of like you, I don't reread as much as I used to, but that I think has more to do with the fact that I have so many books that I haven't read on my TBR versus like having the time. Like I would at the moment I would rather get through the new books that I have than reread the old ones. I love to reread in the lead up to like the next book coming out in a series. So I've done it I did it when Onyx Storm came out last year. I reread Iron Flame and Fourth Wing. I also like rereading certain books, especially, and this is probably where it's a little more controversial. I love rereading books where there is a massive twist. And people would be like, some people have said, like, why would you do that? Because you already know what happens. I'm like, yeah, but now I'm reading it through the lens of knowing what happens. And I want to see how many things I can pick up now throughout the story that have pointed me in that direction. Like, fucking Gone Girl is a prime example of that.
Actually, that's a book that I reread so many times. I loved Gone Girl. And what was the other one? Sharp Objects. Yeah, I reread that a few times as well. Yeah.
I actually went to start watching the show the other day and yesterday and then realized I did not have the brain capacity. I needed something that was a little more engaging because it's a very slow start show. So I ended up watching Chicago Med.
I think it's also, I don't think I've ever seen Chicago Med. Talking about rereading and stuff like that, it can be interesting to go back and reread books that really like meant a lot to you previously and see it's seeing how you've changed as like a reader and a person. There was books that I really loved when I was like in my early 20s and I was like, wow, this is like the best book ever written, blah blah. And then I've gone back now and gone, oh no, like I have changed so much as a person that I now just don't have that connection with that book anymore. So like I can recognize it as like an interesting like experiment. Like the book I'm thinking of mainly is The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. I
I don't think I've ever read
reread
that.
that. It's quite good. I think there's some, I don't know a lot about it because I have like that's the only book of his that I've read. I think there is some controversies with the author, but it was interesting it was when I was doing a lot of writing, interesting having like the main point of view be a group instead. So it's like this choral voice instead of just one point of view. It's like all the boys on the street as an amalgamation type of thing. So it just was like doing some interesting things that I hadn't read before, but have read in better ways since.
Since.
And then I've read the book again and gone, oh, maybe this isn't all that. And I think it's more just to do with me maturing as an author, maturing as a reader, as an author, maturing with authors.
Yeah. I think I'm next, aren't I? Audiobooks don't count. I'm not even going to finish reading this.
Audiobooks count. Sorry,
Audiobooks
they
count.
do. They count. I don't really understand this debate. I think anything that helps people read more is
You're
useful.
consuming literature in a different form.
Yeah. I can't read, I've said this before, I can't read fiction books. Sorry, I can't listen to fiction book on audiobook because I tend to like lose track of the plot a little bit, but I do like essay collections and like I did the Patrick Radden Keefe books on audiobook. The one he wrote about the Sackler family was such a good audiobook. He read it himself. And then the Jennifer Higgy books, she's an art historian and she reads her own audiobooks and they're good. What is happening to my voice? Hang on.
Like, let's not act like there weren't books on like audio tapes and CDs in the 80s and 90s. Because there were.
Also, yeah, there has been. Hang on. I want to see. When was the first book on tape done?
Yeah, when was the first audiobook ever published? It's gotta be, like, somewhere in the I would say maybe 70s or 80s.
Books on tapes gained popularity in the 1970s following the widespread adoption of cassette technology in the late 60s. Okay, great. Oh, apparently in 1969, nice, the Library of Congress began testing the distribution of books on cassette. Yeah, it's been around for ages. I just don't see the
Like,
problem with it.
why is it all of a sudden an issue now? Because it's more popular, it's more widespread, that
Uh,
like, it's more accessible for people to listen to books on audio than it was.
Do you have some things with audiobooks where you like is an instant turn off for you? Because I have one and it's really judgmental.
Some, like, it's not necessarily an instant turn off, but if I get, like, a few chapters in and I'm not necessarily vibing with the narrator, I will be like, I'll just stick to the physical.
I my this is my toxic trait. I can't listen to audiobooks apart from the one that I've mentioned, which is read by the author. They can't kill us until they kill us. I will not listen to an audiobook if it's narrated by an American person because I cannot listen to the accent. So, like, I was
I
trying to
mean,
do.
I don't inherently mind. It just kind of depends on the book. Like, there are some books that I read that actually, no, most of mine are American
I
narrators.
think the thing that really put me off was when I was trying to finish Akatar and I went to the audio and the narration on it was horrid. So I
Y-
really didn't like that. I tend to I like the ones because I listen to nonfiction audiobooks. I really like it when the author reads their own books. Like I read Olivia Lang's The Garden Across Time, and they read the audiobook and they've got like a very lovely, like really well paced tone. And
Yeah.
it was just nice. But also people who, which I can't talk because I talk at the speed of light, people who talk really fast, chill out
Yeah. Well, I mean,
a little
we've
bit.
talked about audio books in general. Like, I think it was in one of our questionnaires where we asked, like, if we listen to audiobooks. And then I think I posed the, like, what speed do you listen at
Yeah,
thing? And people,
I remember being so shocked when you were just like, oh, people listen on like 1.75. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
some
That's
people don't listen lower
crazy.
than 1.5. And I'm like, how?
Crazy.
I'm like, I will maybe listen at 1.2, maybe, if it's like really slow narration.
I used to listen to my uni lectures on like 1.5, but that was because they were boring. Exactly. All right. On publishing and trends. BookTok is changing publishers for the worse. Trends driven by social media can lead to formulaic books or promote subpar titles. I agree with this. I think there's two parts to it. One is I think that the rise of BookTok and stuff like that is I think is really good. It's more getting more people reading, blah blah. I really feel bad for authors now who have to be like you have to be a social media celebrity as well as being an author to get. But I think that's across like so many other things as well, like rise of like influencer culture, blah blah. I don't think I'm saying anything groundbreaking, but I do think it does tend to promote very formulaic books, and it does promote some kind of books where I'm like, if if this book wasn't full of like buzzwords and tropes, would it have gotten published? I can
Yeah.
see you noodling through that.
I agree to an extent. The thing is, right, is I do think trends by social media is leading to, in some ways, some subpar titles. However, I think publishing has always ended up with, like, formulaic books. Like, one book will blow up, and then within 12 months, there are 6 other books that are basically the same. I don't necessarily think that's the fault. Yeah, I don't think that's a social media issue. Like,
Mm.
I think that's just how publishing goes. Like, one book gains traction and it causes a certain genre to sort of blow up a little bit, and then, over the next, year to year, however many years, every other book that's published in that genre is a carbon copy of something else. So, I don't necessarily think it is the fault of, like, social media or book talk. The promoting subpar titles thing, I think, leans as well into the authors having to be their own social media manager, like, and the rise of indie publishing. And because of indie publishing, books aren't necessarily going through, like, indie and self-publishing, they're not going through as rigorous of an editing process as they should.
But I think they like with some, sure, but there's so many good indie publishing houses now that
Absolutely,
are
like, I'm
like,
not saying that there's not,
yeah.
but I do think, because every man and his dog is attempting to be an author these days. Like, and that's no offense, like, if you wanna write a book, absolutely go for it. Like, I'm in full support of anyone that wants to be an author, but, you know, there's only so many publishing deals that are gonna go out. You know what I mean? Like, publishers do have quotas, like, it's not like they have an unlimited number of publishing contracts that they can offer. I do think that there are some people that are getting publishing contracts that probably shouldn't, but again, sorry.
I think you've got a point there because one of the things I saw was like the rise of like celebrity books dominating, like celebrity authors like dominating the charts and stuff like that. And the interesting one I saw was celebrities who are writing children's books because because writing about like children's publishing is really competitive and stuff like that. And it's like books that are relatively subpar. I mean, obviously, I don't have kids, I'm not reading kids' books, but relatively subpar books are getting published because they've got like an A-list celebrity's name and it's like pushing out people who are writing like genuinely good
The 2 celebrities that
children's
come to
books.
mind for me, and they're both Australian comedians, are Andy Lee, like Hamish and Andy's Andy Lee. He
Oh, I
has
didn't
a
even know he
whole
published books.
he has a whole range of kids' books, they're called, like, "Do Not Open This Book."
Okay.
He's got the thing is he's got, like, oh, 10, 12 of them now. Apparently, I haven't actually got any, but they do look really, really good, and Doe has also published quite a few children's books,
He
but I
published
think
a
they
really
talk
popular biography as well, I'm pretty
he
sure.
did.
Autobiography.
I do think his children's books are a bit more of like a reflect in like a mirror into the culture he grew up in because he is, I don't remember, Filipino or Vietnamese. I'm probably very wrong, and I'm so sorry, Ando.
There was something else I was gonna say about no, there was something I was gonna say with publishing because 'cause I've seen a bit of some interesting reviews of it where talking about celebrity memoirs, where Jeanette McCurdy published the book I'm Glad My Mum Died,
Yes.
or I'm Glad My Mother Died or something like that, and that was her autobiography. I haven't read it, apparently it's amazing, but she's just published a fiction book called Half His Age, and
Yeah.
I've seen some very, very interesting reviews about that saying like, you know, it's just trash essentially.
I
So
do
I
wanna
think
read
it's
it though.
I mean, I'm interested to read it. The premise does sound interesting to me, but,
Well, isn't it basically just like a fictionalized version of her experiences with what's his face?
I think so. That's what I've seen. I don't actually know that much about Jeanette McCurdy, but it's interesting to see, like, the having a big successful memoir and then going to fiction, and then having the fiction not live up to that kinda standard. Alright. Are you next or am I next?
Yeah, yes. YA is just as valid as adult. Young adult fiction often tackles complex themes better than adult fiction does.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
might agree
agree.
with that one. Like, I do definitely think that it's as valid as adult fiction. Like, people are like, "Oh, it's YA, it's for teenagers." You've clearly never read a real YA novel then. Like, a YA novel
Yeah, they
like,
just
for me,
handle
a
things
YA
well.
novel is for people that are, like, 16 to, like, 21. That's what I would consider YA. Old enough to understand complex themes and, like, physical sexual relationships and, like, darker tone, but not explicit.
Yeah, 100%, and I think they I still think about I haven't read it in years, but, like, Perks of Being a Wallflower was such a fundamental book to, like, everyone our fucking age. And A, it was written in a really, really interesting way with all of the letters, and it tackled so much so well. So I think, yeah, I mean, I haven't read YA books in 15 years.
I
So
keep looking over there like I'm sitting in my lounge room and my bookshelves are there, but they're not. My TV.
I don't think
Doing
I've got
well.
anything particularly, like, relevant to say because it's been so long, but, like, I think it is valid.
I do think so talking about how they tackle complex themes better, I do think that they can manage, especially when it comes to, like, mental health related stuff, because having it as YA in a way kind of eliminates, like, when you're eliminating, like, that true adult aspect of it. So you're not having, like, explicit sex scenes, maybe you're not having your characters, like, drinking or having adult jobs or
Mm,
whatever. When there's more of a focus on the characters themselves within YA and their sort of issues and things surrounding them, I think they are tackled better in that regard because like, the responsibilities we had when we were 18, 19 versus the responsibilities we have now, just as, like, a general real life perspective, like, yes, we have the tools to manage certain things better now, but significantly less interesting. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I do agree with that, like, to an extent.
It's just more like, it's it's trusting the audience and stuff as well. Like that's what it comes down to. It's trusting the audience. Like kids can read about these experiences because they're having those experiences. Like, I was when I was reading Perks Being a Wallflower and those kind of books associated with it or whatever, like that's when I was going through really like chaotic periods of mental health and those kind and first I started experimenting with like drinking and taking drugs and those are the kind of like first relationships. So it's like they're understandable to me.
It's a relatable experience.
Yeah, and it let me kind of like not even being relatable, but it was like the lens in which I could then understand what was going on as well. So, or understand or explore things.
Even reading them as an adult, going back and reading them now that we've kinda come out of the other end of those experiences, I think is beneficial too.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
I don't care, like, if you're past the age of fucking 30, 40, however old, YA is still for everybody, regardless of whether it's fantasy or contemporary fiction or literary fiction or YA sci-fi or whatever the fuck you wanna read. It's for everybody because it is a diluted version in a way, but I don't know, I do think that they handle something. I do agree. I do think that like, I definitely agree that it is as valid as adult fiction, but I do but I yeah, and I lightly agree with that they often tackle complex themes, like, certain things, maybe not so much, but
I think they do.
a lot of them they do.
I was going to say well, I don't read a lot of YA and then I remembered that one of my favorite book series from the past 10 years is technically YA. It's The Raven Boys by Maggie Stefiter. Like yeah, I love that book series. Like, I think that they did a lot of. It was cool because it's like magical realism and stuff like that. But I think that they tackled a lot of complex things. I hated the way it ended, but I liked the book series.
Isn't that always the way?
It is. All right.
Okay, so
Let's
I
look
think
at.
here we've gone into a little more Reddity sort of hot takes because these are not like necessarily like a list of hot takes. These are people sharing their own. So we won't necessarily read
No,
like
I think we can.
who said it.
I think we can rapid fire these ones as well. This is super controversial, but dog ears aren't that bad as long as you flip them back once you move on from the page and if you own the book. Yes, I agree. We talked about this. I dog ear my books. Eliza doesn't, and I can see her head exploding.
Only monsters have multiple dog ears in a book at one time. Is that you?
No, I like tab things.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair. Deckled edges are pretty. Okay, so I don't hate deckled edges as much as some people do. I hate deckled edges on a paperback, but on a hardback I can forgive it. Because like, all right, I actually have a book.
Yeah, I've my copy of this does make me sound like a wanker. My copy of the Iliad has deckled edges.
Yeah, is it paperback or hardback?
It's paperback,
Yeah. See,
but it's like
paperback
one of the
bothered
really
me.
heavy ones.
Okay. So like I've got this one, it's called The Book of Gothel by Mary McMahon. This is a hardback that fucking what am I doing? It's got you can kind of see it's got deckled edges. But for me, because it's a hardcover, the deckled edges don't affect being able to shelve the book
Yeah,
because they don't stick out.
yeah, like the Iliad, like it's one of the really firm hardcovers, and it sticks out over the side of the pages. But no, I think that yeah, I think they look really pretty.
I think on certain books, like I'm not going to want deckled edges on every book, but like this is a Rapunzel retelling. So it's like a bit more like historical fiction. It's set in Germany in like the 12th century. Yeah. Germany 1156. It actually tells the story of like Gothel, Mother Gothel. So it's supposed to be on my list for this month, but given we've got one day left, I'll be lucky if I get the book that I'm currently reading finished.
I judge books by their covers. If you really love your book and think it's good, you'd give it a good cover. I am notorious for this. I like my books to look nice, and I will sometimes skip over a book if I think it's got an ugly cover.
I see the problem I have with this hot take in a minute, just being like, I can't find myself interested in books that look ugly no matter how much my friends tell me it's good, I'll drag my feet. That bothers me because like if you're being told over and over, this book is excellent, the cover really yes, you need to have an opinion on the cover, but you should still fucking read it.
Yeah. Like, I think it's more
I'm
like I
drawn
agree
to
with the
nicer
front half.
covers,
Yeah, yeah,
but I won't discount a book because I don't love the cover.
yeah. But I still I like to see effort in a cover. The thing that annoys me more about covers now is they're very like they can be really formulaic. Like I think they're like the romance ones are one that I think of like the M hen kind of vibes on
Yes,
every
very
fucking romance book.
bright
Yeah.
colors, bold writing. My big pet peeve with covers and particularly with spines is inconsistency in a series. When they move like positioning of like the author's name or there's a series that I've got where it's a trilogy and books 1 and 2 are numbered at the top but book 3 isn't. And it looks like it's done that because it's published by Hodder. I think it used to be Hot Escape and now it's Hotter Press or the other way around. But they changed their branding, obviously in between book 2 and 3 being published. So the publisher logo is different on the bottom, which one annoys me. But also they took the numbering off the top. I'm enraged every time I see it.
I think the next one will enrage you because it's someone saying, I love having different book series,
Oh my God.
book covers in a single series. I don't feel the
No,
need to have them be a matching set. Height also doesn't bother me. No,
no,
height
height bothers
bothers
me
me. And
so much.
one of the ones that got me for this was the Aragon series, which I read when I was a teenager, and they were all the same height. They were all the small little books, and then the fourth one came out, and it was so much higher than the other ones, and it pisses me off to this day.
No, see, now that's a publishing problem because in Australia, books are published in the larger paperback size. So, like hardback size, but in paperback. But then 6 months later, they get republished in the mass market paperback, which is the smaller size. So, if you're trying to read a fucking series that's not completed, but has books that have been out for a year, 2 year, 3 years, whatever, most of the time those books are going to be in the smaller paperback. But then when the new book comes out, it's going to be in the larger paperback. And it gives me the shits to no fucking end.
I
Keep it
hate it.
consistent.
I hate it. And I hate different covers. It
Like,
pisses me off.
different book covers in a single series, get the fuck out. Unless it's just like special edition stuff, then I can kind of forgive it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I think we've covered a lot of these, but we can still go through them.
Yeah, I love world building, but if the information isn't relevant, it's boring. I don't need to know the culture and political history of the protagonist's breakfast. I just want to know if he ate something before being chased by a monster. Yeah,
That's fair. I think we talked
I
about
don't
that with like overly long
I don't
books.
feel the need to have like expansive world building if it's not overly relevant to the plot.
Yeah, yeah. If a series isn't completed yet, I won't start it. I think that's fucking bold, dude. Like,
But that's kind of you.
it is kind of me, but also it's
You just don't like multi book series.
yeah, I think that's more to do with me like not being particularly being like a long series reader and preferring like a duology. But like look at Game of Thrones. You're never going to because he's never finishing that book, babe. So you're never ever going to read it. Like that's I don't know. I feel like you could
That's going to be finished by another. Going to be a Brandon Sanderson finishes the series for him when he dies.
yeah, Brandon Sanderson is booked and busy because he's going to be finishing Game of Thrones.
Because what did he do? Crap, what did
He
he
finished The
finish
Wheel of
out before?
Time. He
Yes,
finished The
thank
Wheel of
you.
Time. So and I think he maybe finished another series, but he finished
Yeah,
them.
there's something else, I'm sure.
I love flawed but lovable characters. Okay, cool. So you like characters that are like reflective of being a human being. I don't think that that's a
Yeah.
hot take. I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah, I'm talking about characters say mean things, get jealous, skip class, or do anything potential. No, it's called being a human being. Like, if they do something absolutely out fucking rageous, then I'll reconsider them. But it's like, humans are humans. That's why, like, and I'm going to go on a tangent, a little bit of a tangent here. Like, people, you've not read Throne of Glass, but people absolutely fucking hate a character called Kale. One, he's like the only, one of the only non-magic users in the entire fucking series.
Mhm.
He is a knight.
While you're
And
saying this,
two,
I'm texting Dale and getting his opinion because Dale has read this book and there was a
yes,
character he
no,
hated.
go for it. People hate him so unnecessarily, I think. Like, oh, he made so many shitty decisions and he did this. I'm sorry. He got angry because our female main character, Selena, made many decisions without informing anybody, and then some of them went wrong, and he's angry about it, which is like, yeah, he was a dick in Queen of Shadows. He was a dick in book 4. But like, he gets a whole book, and people are like, oh, I hate his book because he's got Tower of Dawn, which is the second to last book in the series. He has a big redemption arc. And like, yeah, he's a grumpy cunt because at the end of Queen of Shadows, he is paralyzed from the waist down and he's in a wheelchair and he's shitty about it, which, like, you know what? Fair enough. He's gone from being a knight, you know, like essentially the protector of Dorian, who is the prince of the kingdom that we're in. He's gone from being his basically assigned protector to being able to do nothing because he's in a wheelchair and his legs don't work.
Yeah, that'd probably make you angry.
Understandably.
Well, I just texted Dale and said, "Did you like Kale when you read Throne of Glass? Time sensitive, please respond."
I don't know. I just feel like the hate, like, he's human. These things have happened. So many things happened to him that were out of his control, and he got justifiably frustrated and angry about it. I don't know about you, but I'd be pissed if the girl that I was dating for the entirety of a book turns out to have done all these really shady things behind my back. And yes, while she's doing it for the greater good, she's still doing things behind my back, putting herself in dangerous situations, and I have no knowledge of it. I'd be mad.
So you're a Kale defender?
Absolutely. I'm a Kale defender. Like, yeah, he did some shitty things. He said a lot of shitty things. But nah, I'm a defender. So anyway,
When I
moving on.
read the back of a book, when I read the back of a book, it doesn't matter how intriguing the plot sounds. If the writing is dull, repetitive, or just plain unexciting, I won't even bother starting it.
You're not going to get much out of the blurb, mate.
No, blurbs are pretty standardized, I think. And like sometimes I've started reading books where I'm like, oh, the plot of this sounds really good, and then the writing has ended up being terrible. Like The Rotting Room, which I talked about at length, it sounded premise mwah, so good, and book bad.
So this is the thing, though, is like, this guy has contradicted himself. I'm going to say it's a man because, you know, they've contradicted themselves because it doesn't matter how intriguing the plot sounds. If the plot sounds intriguing, then the writing in the blurb is obviously good. You absolute fucking dickwad. Like, if you get 5 chapters in and you hate the writing style, then yeah, fair enough. Put it down, walk away. But if the plot sounds intriguing, like, you have like 4 sentences in a blurb. Like, you're not going to glean much for their writing style from that. Often the authors don't even write their own fucking blurbs.
Yeah, true.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that much. But like, it would make sense that they would have like an editor or a proofer or something write a blurb for it
Yeah,
to
I don't think
summarize
they
the
write
story.
I don't think they write blurbs.
So
But
no, I don't agree with that in the slightest.
the next one kind of relates to that, in that they're saying that they're a plot orientated reader, and if there isn't anything interesting enough happening in the story to keep their attention, I'm putting the book down, and I don't care how interesting the characters are. Yeah, that's fair.
I'm 50-50. I can understand that. I prefer plot over character. I prefer plot,
I
but
read more
if the
character-driven
characters are
books.
interesting, I'm going to probably stick around to find out what happens to them.
Yeah. Not reading more than one book at a time is for people who have their life together. I read more than one book at a time.
I only read one book at a time. I don't have my life together. That's a fucking lie.
I read
Bro, I just had to drop a day at work per fortnight so I could salvage my
get
mental
your
health.
life together.
Like, so I could attempt to have my life together in some way, shape, or form.
Well, now you can start reading more books.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
I read multiple books at a time, so I'm not going to answer this.
Yeah. Watching the movie first helps me visualize the book better. I can
Okay.
understand that. I don't have an issue with it.
No, I don't read a lot of I don't watch a lot of book adaptations, so
Yeah. But I can understand, like, if I watched a movie and then found out there was a book adaptation to it, especially if I liked the movie, I'd be like, oh, this is based on a book. I'd be like, cool, where is it? I'm going to read it.
Dale's response about Kale from Throne of
Yep.
Glass. He goes, I haven't finished it, but he is fucking annoying and an absolute cunt so far.
Where is he up to, though?
Okay, where are you?
Find
up
out
to?
where he's up to. Because if he hasn't read Tower of Dawn yet, if he hasn't read, like, if he's only at Queen of Shadows, then he's got a long way to go with Kale. Like, he's got Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash, because he's not technically in Empire of Storms. And if he's partway through Tower of Dawn, then I can understand, because Kale is a bit of a cunt in the first half. because he's angry about the fact that his legs don't work.
Okay, going back. If I'm more than halfway through a book but I'm still not feeling it, I can't DNF it. At that point, I've gotten too far and I'm physically compelled to see it through. Nah, DNF. See you
Nah,
later.
this is me.
Nah,
Especially if I'm more than halfway, I'm like, nah, I gotta finish it. I gotta know
nah,
what
nah, nah.
happened.
Wrap that shit up. I don't know, read a plot summary.
Read the cliff
But
notes.
read the cliff notes.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
don't
no,
get the hype. This is gonna piss us both off. I don't get the hype around The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I thought it was boring.
you don't know how to read. It's a
You
very
can
good
leave
book.
the
I
room,
liked
my
it. You could
friend.
buy. It's not like, I don't think it's the best book ever written, but I think it's
Fuck
like
no.
being like, I think it's boring. Okay, well, I think you're boring. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
It's
it's so
fucking,
good.
I mean, it's long. It's a big undertaking to do
It's
that
long
book.
and it is dense in parts.
Yeah, but that sounds like a them problem. They can work
Yeah.
that. They can work through that
You
themselves.
can
I
work through
think,
your issues.
yeah, I think The Secret History is great. Some series don't need to be as long as they are. I agree.
I do agree. Wheel of
I'm a
Time.
yeah,
I
it's
haven't
just
read the Wheel of
daunting.
Time, but from everyone I know that's read it, it's just like it does not need to be
It's
14 books long.
it's hanging like a spectre on the back of my Kobo. Yeah, no, I agree, but that's because I like a duology or something like that. I'll be interested to see if I can sustain reading the Paladin's Grace books or if I'll lose interest halfway through. So I will
It'll
report back.
depend on whether I think the books are like carbon copies of one another. If it ends up being like the same formulaic story, then you'll lose interest.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, are we going to briefly cover booktop bitches and reading only books? Booktop bitches is like, I don't like that term.
Yeah, so there was ironically a video that went out, and this is kind of old news nowadays, but there was a video by someone who had the neon books, who had the neon Sarah J. Maas Archetype books on her bookshelf, that basically went on to say, I don't trust any of you BookTok bitches, you're always recommending shit, yada, 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 because she had listened to, like, she'd followed some recommendations that she had from people she followed, from her For You page, whatever, and she hated them. And basically then just referred to everyone on BookTok being like, you're a BookTok bitch, this romantasy shit is all terrible, whatever. While having Sarah J. Maas on her bookshelf, which I like Sarah J. Maas's books. I got no issue with them. Like, they're not the best things I've ever read, but I do enjoy them. I've read much better, and I've read much better off of recommendations from BookTok.
Yeah.
And it created this whole discourse. And I think my biggest takeaway from it was, babes, it's your algorithm giving you these recommendations. If you don't like what you're being recommended, seek out other creators and try their recommendations. You curate your own algorithm based on what you interact with, what you watch. This is a you problem. Don't call everyone else a bitch because you don't like the books that's being recommended to you.
And if
Find
she's
other people.
being like, oh, all of this romantasy stuff is shit, maybe you don't like reading romantasy. Like, maybe find something else that you like, maybe find something that you like to read.
Like,
It
it
doesn't,
was just,
yeah, I definitely think that like there are books that are overhyped on social media.
absolutely there are.
And I think if you've got a good social media campaigner and a good social media presence, I think that's going to put your book kind of ahead. Whether or not it's good or not is another thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think that sounds like a very isolated, like, you person problem for
Yeah, it
her.
is. Like,
Yeah, I don't
and
get it.
people are like, oh, well, if you only read the stuff that's popular on BookTok. And I'm like, okay, like, some people, that's their niche. That's what they like to read. Like, fucking who cares?
Like, I found a lot of when I started like
I don't
getting
care if you read the Bible back to front 6 times in a row. If you're reading, I mean, as long as you're not preaching at me, but like, if you're reading something, you're still fucking reading. That's all that matters. The Bible might have been a bit of a hot take one to use, but anyway. But I'm saying in like context, you could read a fucking psychiatry textbook back to front and I wouldn't care.
yeah, yeah. But like, I get a lot of recommendations off of like Litfic on Instagram and stuff like that, just by following publishing houses and stuff like that, or following other bookish people that I like. They're not always good recommendations, and it's because people have different reading tastes.
Yeah,
That's such
I
a
follow
weird thing.
several people on social media that, I see the books that they talk about and, they talk about some books that I loved and they go, I hated this. Cool. That's fine. Other books they really enjoyed that I didn't like, there's crossovers in different ways. Like, there were obviously I liked a lot of their recommendations enough that I followed them and I still follow them. But if I see a book that they say they hated, but I loved it, cool.
It's fine. Yeah.
Scroll past.
And also, if, we we wouldn't exist as a podcast if we read the same books.
I mean, we might still because then we just go more in depth on the books that we're reading. We'd be talking it would be talking about, like, theories of certain books more so, I think. But yeah.
The next one, this is the last take, and I'll try and be very brief on this, was the drama surrounding the book Shy Girl by Mia Ballard. So there's a lot of AI accusations around this book. There was some controversy because it was originally self-published and the art that was used was stolen off of an artist, and apparently that's now been addressed and that artist has been compensated. But it was essentially like self-published. It got quite a lot of, like, I would say, like, medium to good reviews on, like, whatever, Goodreads and that kind of stuff. It got pulled from being self-published. It has been allegedly re-edited. New art has come out for it, and it has since been kind of like picked up by a traditional publishing house who were really hyping it
Who
and
picked it up?
saying, I'm actually not sure.
'Cause I imagine, like, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I was at a publishing house, I would be very hesitant to pick up a book like that.
It's been picked up by Run For It, I think is what it says here. Anyway, so it kind of got piled on. There was a big YouTube video about it where the person said, like a booktuber said, I think that this has been written by AI. There's lots of the standard kind of AI trope stuff attached to it as well. And I'm looking now on Goodreads and there is so much stuff about it saying, like, it's people reviewing advanced copies because it's getting republished in the middle of the year, saying, like, this is written by AI, this is written terribly. The author apparently responded to the YouTuber who accused her of it. And then a lot of people are saying it's been a bit of a pile-on, but it definitely, like, it reads very AI-ish to the, like, excerpts that I've read. I'd be interested to see how differently it reads now that it's been picked up by a traditional publishing house and republished.
That's it. It could be a case of being when it was indie published or self-published that she's maybe used AI software to edit.
Yeah. The one thing that I did pick up, because I watched the entire 3-hour video on it while I was packing up when we were moving, and the use of she uses sharp to describe everything. His voice was sharp. This was a sharp sensation. It went through me sharply. It was just like, okay, guys, we can pick a different word. We can pick a different word. But this was the first, like, big AI controversy I saw around a book. And I'm assuming there will probably be more. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it plays out because it gets published next month, April 7th. So I will see how that goes. I'm curious because I did have this on my TBR for a really long time because the premise is very interesting. So I will.
Yeah, it'll actually be published as of the date this episode goes up probably this month. I think this episode will go up at the start of April. At the end of March, start of April. We're filming this at the end of February for everyone listening. We're in a bit of a time machine here, which is why things we're talking about are very out of date.
The traditionally published version is 50 pages longer than the other one. That's interesting. Anyway.
Probably resubmitted the manuscript. Anyway, any hot takes that we haven't covered that you have?
I don't think so.
I think that those lists kind of covered
pretty...
a lot of the, like, bigger hot takes.
I think it did. Also, I have an update from Dale. He says he's read everything in the series except for Kingdom of Ash.
And you still hate Kale. Tell him I'm a Kale defender. We can fight about it later.
I just think Eliza's a Kale defender.
Is he an angry, insufferable cunt? Yes. Right? He is. I'm not going to deny that. But I'm, like, looking at it through the lens of everything that happened. Like, people love to say that Aelin who's the female main character, is like one of the best female leads, whatever. She's actually not. She's kind of shitty to everybody. Like, she has all of these grand plans and does all of these things and tells fucking no one about it.
Oh, yeah.
And then it all just works out, which is fine. But, like, you got to let people in. Like, she's so focused on making sure she's the one that does everything and all of this that she blindsides other people. And, like, I love Aylin. I really do. I think she's incredible. Like, I think she's, like, her whole story is really, really good. But at the same time, she does some really shady shit. If they'd ever do a TV show of it, you should watch that because I reckon it would make a very good show. All right, we are at the end of the episode. We have to be at the end of the episode because we have been recording for an hour and 46 minutes at this point.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a long episode, but I think that that's fine.
We have to spin the wheel. We have to spin the wheel
yes,
for
spin
our
the wheel.
April challenge. So I'm going to share my screen with you because I can do that.
Yay! I just remembered that you called it the Wheel of Plot Luck,
The wheel of plot luck.
which I enjoy.
Okay.
Oh, nonfiction. Okay, yeah, we can do
Non-fiction.
nonfiction.
I'm not mad about this because
Why
I
is it
actually
cheering?
it's because it's like the audio thing that it does. It does like a clap and cheer at the end. I actually did want to add a nonfiction book to my TBR for this month. So yeah, I have 2 that I might add. No, I'm not going to put both on, but there are 2 that I'm considering. So in our next episode, we will tell you what books we have chosen to read for our nonfiction book for this month.
Yes, I'm excited.
All right. And that's all we have
All
for today
right.
because otherwise this episode is going to be far too long. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.